Hello, and welcome to Shrink, the podcast for the mind. I'm Philippe and I talk to the people who want to have a better understanding of their issues with weight and body image. Wendy Elsmore, it's so nice to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, Philippe.
Oh, thank you. We've been trying to find a moment to have this conversation, and there we are. We finally found a time that suits us both. So who are you, Wendy? For the people who don't know you, who are you, in fact?
Well, first and foremost, I always say a good person, because I think that's so important in the world that we live in. But professionally, I have been for over 25 years now a personal stylist and a personal development mentor as well. Plus, I'm the co-founder of the London College of Style.
So what do you mean? What is the difference between the personal stylist and a personal development mentor? How would you differentiate the two?
Yeah, really good question. So personal stylist, what does a personal stylist do? What a great personal stylist does is to help others to understand and to like who they are individually. That's what's important. There's only one of us in the world. And, you know, for most of us, if we looked at one of something, we would say, my goodness me, it's rare. I absolutely love it. It's a prized possession. And yet so many of us have sticking points with actually embracing our own individuality. So a personal stylist will recognize and help you to see that and to like it, and then to use clothes and color as a tool to align to who you are, to be most of your potential now. And that can change and evolve as we grow through our lifetime. So that's very different, I guess, from a personal development mentor who's, you know, my role there, I will work with people to help them launch businesses, to work on areas of their lives that perhaps where they recognize they don't feel most fulfilled, and to act as a guide. Focusing on, you know, the potential of who they want to become. I think that word's really important.
That's so interesting. I love that. And so you're also the co-founder of the London College of Style. So that's what you do. So you do that within that school, or is it like a different setting?
So, you know, my entire career really has been personal styling. 14 years ago, I had created a credible career in styling. You know, I feel very fortunate and blessed for that. But I realized that there was a formula to becoming successful in that field. And I couldn't find an educator or a trainer at the time who I felt delivered a program in a way that would not only train skill best practice, but would also support people to launch businesses and to go on and grow and evolve in the way that they wanted to within the industry. So that was the birth of LCS. I look back now and I think, oh my goodness me, I wrote one course on a laptop, long, like you do. That was fortunate. Vogue covered our opening because I'd worked in the industry for quite a while. And I was like, will somebody actually buy a place? And I had a goal in my head, which was to sell 10 places for the first program. And we sold out. And that was the beginning of LCS.
That's amazing. And now it's like, so how many years has it been going on at London College of Style? 14, you said?
14 years now.
14 years, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We attract some incredible people who decide to train with us from all over the world to come into London. We're based in central London. We also have an online division who want to realize careers in styling, in color, and interior design as well.
And so at the London College of Style, do you as well coach them as a development mentor, as a personal development mentor, or is it really separate?
I think it's a really important element of education. You know, I have a son who struggled, I would say, to fit into, you know, what was expected through a regular education system. And actually, it made me realize at the time that this, you know, this word I use all the time, the power and the beauty of our individuality is precious and so important. And when we launched LCS, I decided it's not just about new skills training and about connecting people to the industry, to making important contacts that will propel them forwards. It's also actually about that piece that's about the mind, how we think, energy that we're in, so that, you know, we're able to develop an awareness and understand at points when we're stuck that we have the tools, the acumen and the support at LCS to help us move forwards again. And there are more people, I believe, in this world who become successful, who give it a go and actually, do some learning and then learn the rest along the way, rather than those who keep, investing in more and more and more education. You've got to get out there. But I think where your mind is at is as important, if not more important, than what you know.
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah, and who inspired you to become to work in fashion? Who inspired you to want to share your passion for fashion with others? Is there someone who inspired you more, or is it something? Is it really personal?
It's my beautiful mum, for sure. I mean, really sadly, she's no longer on this earth, and I feel just the luckiest person that she was my mum. I grew up in a house that was filled with style and colour. My mum genuinely used clothes and colour as tools to align with who she was, and she had an appreciation that changes. My mum loved a wardrobe edit. She had no issue with redesigning a wardrobe, looking at what no longer served her, moving it on. She was the queen of thrifting, of what was called second hand at the time, which we now, associate with being pre-loved garments. I always used to say to her, Mum, you should have been the stylist. You should have been. But literally, she was everybody. My mum was called Linda, and everybody would stop her and say, oh my goodness me, you look incredible. Really what they were picking up on was her energy. Mm-hmm. And because she had learned how to use clothes in that way, she was the most of who she was. It gave her an inner confidence that exuded out into the world, and that's what pulled people towards her. And she was loved at work by 20-year-olds right through to sort of 50, 60-year-olds. And it taught me at a very young age that the magnificence of really embracing and liking who you are.
Yeah. So how do you embrace and enjoy who you are when you've got a negative body image, when you see yourself as not being beautiful enough, or not being slim enough, or having a nose which is too long, or having hips which are too I don't know, how do you help the people you're seeing with getting there, with getting to have more empathy for themselves and just accepting who they are? Is it also part of what you do?
Yeah, it's always been part of what I do. Who is it that says there's a set of rules that we have to be X, Y, and Z? Mm-hmm. Who is that? Who decided that?
Yeah.
And actually, why do we choose to listen when we would never deal out such unkindness to a friend in the way that we do to ourselves so often? It's a question that I've asked through my entire career. And, I felt it from within. I'm just, a regular woman. And I have days where, there are challenges. But what I would say is, and this is how I talk to all of my new clients, mm-hmm. You weren't meant to be like somebody else. You weren't put on this earth to be like that woman over there. And if I literally recreated that woman, you wouldn't feel right in terms of looking like she does, because it wouldn't fit with you.
You wouldn't be that woman, yeah.
You wouldn't be that woman. So
you mentioned, I think it's also true for men, don't you think so? That more and more, in fact, and maybe because of social media, and I don't want to demonize the social media, but I think that men more and more have this idea that they don't look the way they should be, that they're very judgmental about the way they look. Don't you think it's more and more like that?
I do. It's not just women.
No.
It's definitely men as well. Feeling an outside pressure, feeling, the need. I was having this conversation actually with, my younger son, a few days ago, and he was saying it's, that need to sort of feel like you conform. And I was saying, yeah, but there is another way, and it's a choice. Mm-hmm. We can either sort of demonize ourselves and say, well, I'm not this and I'm not that, or we can take the other route, which is actually stopping that, however hard it is, and saying, no, I refuse to continue to be like that and to feel that I'm not enough. Because, as my son said, and these are really wise words, every human is worthy of liking themselves and actually feeling good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, good enough does not mean perfection. And that's where I think sometimes we get it so wrong. We're such harsh critics and we're expecting far more from ourselves than we ever should do. My mum used to say, we are all only human. And that's the truth of it, which actually tells us perfection doesn't exist. And once you drop that, it starts to be the game changer towards embracing and looking at yourself in a different way.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. But sometimes I wonder what's the border between body positivity and unhealthy behaviors, because I've met through my work as a therapist, I've met some people who are, let's say, influencers about body positivity, but somehow there was something unhealthy about their eating habits as well, and about so now I'm just talking more about people. Some people being overweight in a way which is not healthy. It's difficult to find what's the right balance. We all have different bodies. I'm not slim. I feel good with the way I look. I could lose some weight, but I know that I eat healthily, and altogether I exercise a bit. But sometimes it goes too far. The idea of body positivity has driven some people to accept having unhealthy behaviors. So, don't you think so?
I do, but I also don't think it's any of our business what other people do. And that phrase has helped me no end in life. I used to have so many opinions about things that really were nothing to do with me. And actually, surely in somebody's own body, it is their choice how they want to be. Now, the point with you and me comes when people reach out for help, because they either want more than they are already and they're not quite sure how to get there. So they're not in crisis, or they're coming and saying, do you know what, I just don't feel good how I am. Can you please help me? And then I think, of course, our opinion comes into it. But, I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, that there's the most beautiful woman in our community. Her name is Caroline Sigmoni. So she trained with LCS.
Mm-hmm. She trained with you. All right. Okay.
Trained with. She is, I would say, usually, because it changes from brand to brand, what we would consider to be a UK size 22. She was the shy girl who wanted to hide, and maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. You can find her actually on Instagram. Her Instagram handle is at fab40 plus 40 plus.
Like that, yeah.
And actually, why is Caroline important? She's important because she's a person, but aside from that, what she has done is I have huge admiration for her, because she's come from a place of real shyness and where she wanted to hide, and maybe within those times felt that she should be slimmer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what she's enabled herself to do is to stop that real harsh negative self-talk and to say, would I treat my friend like that? Would I speak to my friend in the way I'm speaking to myself? And actually to understand that it was more changing her self-talk, and actually she really likes herself as she is. And in doing so, from the darkness emerged the most extraordinary woman.
That's great. Yeah, I've heard about her. Yeah.
Yeah, so multifaceted in her loveliness, and that's what I would say. And she engages the most beautiful community now, largely of other women of all shapes and sizes, of all ethnicities from all over the world, who are interested in how she gets dressed and how she feels good every day. And she's a champion of all sorts of affordable, accessible brands. And because of the fact that she's really, really found who Caroline is, that authenticity exudes an energy that other people feel. And I doubt that there's anybody now who questions whether Caroline is lovely, because she feels she is.
Yeah, and she is, but most of all, she feels she is. Yeah,
and she is.
Yeah.
What, in answer to the question of, all of this sort of harshness that goes on in the outside world, and we have to be X, Y, and Z. Well, do we? Or is there a stopping point where we say, enough of that, I'm going to take another way, because it's about how I feel about me?
But in my practice, I see people, usually not most of them, but many of them come and see me because they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I know, and I see really beautiful men and women, beautiful, human beings, and the way they talk about themselves, they describe themselves as being looking like pigs. I mean, really harsh words, and they're really beautiful human beings. Not. I think most human beings, by the way, are really beautiful, but that's another subject, I guess. And I know from the beginning that even if they lose the weight, they will see themselves. They will still be very judgmental about themselves. They won't like themselves. So most of the work that I do with them is first have some empathy for yourself and understand why you got there, how you got there, and have some more. Yeah, like yourself more as you are now. I understand you want to lose weight, and that's fine if you think it's more healthy for you to lose weight, or if you've got medical reasons, for you to lose weight. But the first step is first to let's say undo this negative self-talk they have about themselves, which is massive. It usually starts when you're a kid, unfortunately, which means it can take sometimes can take some time before they get there. But because otherwise, I know that they will lose the weight, but they will still have a very negative image of themselves. So what's the point? I mean, they will have shed 5, 10, 15 kilos, but then still they won't be happy with themselves. So I think, I like the idea of that person you're mentioning and who's feeling good about herself. And I think it's something that, it should be more out there. It should really be more out there. Do you think that the fashion industry somehow is playing with that? It's being criticized a lot for showing models who are pretty slim or even skinny, and it's changing. Do you think it's changing enough?
Well, case in point, let's go back to what you just said, because I was absolutely fascinated to listen to you there, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's often not weight that's the issue.
No.
And, who we form as in childhood, depending on all different elements of our environment, forms habits, thought processes about ourselves. And the way I liken it, which is a very simplistic view, but it enables me to understand it, it develops in our subconscious, and they're like drawers inside our mind. And actually, when we hit a trigger point, those drawers flip open and out comes that feeling. You were talking about somebody being really unkind about themselves, and I'm disgusted with myself, I don't like myself. These drawers flip open and out come these messages again and again and again. So regardless of whether you lose the weight, it explains wholeheartedly why some of us can drop pounds and then they go straight back on again, because actually those drawers inside our mind are still flipping open at trigger points.
Yeah.
And so the work has to go deeper than that. And it has to be, and I think it starts with, I'm not a psychologist, but I've worked with psychologists, and I have an appreciation, is what I would say, for the fact that when we develop an awareness, when we are able as humans to recognize those drawers flipping open, right? I'm triggered. I can feel the drawers flipping open. I'm reaching for the cake or eating more toast or not caring about who I am and spending time with me and being kind to myself. Then we are able to actually start to say, stop it. Ourselves. And in the stop it process, we are able to begin to form new habits. And I have those 5 steps that I always talk about. Hopefully we'll cover later.
No, I'd like to know more about this. Sorry, but I interrupted you. I really like to hear about your 5 steps, because I heard about them. I don't know if you want to talk about them now or later.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to, because the reason I think they're important is because there is no magic fix. And that's what I've realized. I've been in a very hidden, dark place at one point in my life. And that enabled me, I think, to really appreciate why we hide, or at least some of the reasons why we hide and how we can come out of that. But we can come out of it, and we can come out of it. And that's what's important. However, if we go back to those drawers flipping open, right, those are old habits that are often in there from when we were kids. So they've been in there for a while. So as we form the new habits, the new way forward, we need to be in the awareness of understanding that at points we're still going to trigger backwards and those drawers are going to flip open and we're going to reach for the cake or not want to go out or not socialize, and to recognize them and to say, I feel really uncomfortable, but this is a good thing because I'm now going to step back into the new habits and I can see that I'm pushing through and creating change. And that is growth.
But change is scary, Wendy.
Oh, change is terrifying. You never dress it up. You know, why would I? I've had some terrifying moments in my own life, But I have learned how to develop that awareness. Awareness is a flipping brilliant thing, because you're able to go, I can recognize what's happening in me, rather than spiraling and thinking what's going on and feeling helpless. You can recognize what's happening and you can press a stop button, and you are kind and learn to be kind and can understand. You can reset and move forwards again. The more and more you do that, at points you will notice that the new habits are starting to outweigh the old ones.
So it's about having more gratitude, I guess.
I'll give you the 5 steps if you like them. My 5
Okay, yeah, I would like. Yeah, I would really like that.
There are 5 steps to being more you, is what I call them, because I think learning to be magnificent in who you are is key. And remember, there's one of you. We've talked about that, which makes you pretty flipping amazing to start with. So the first one I say is that every single person on this planet has something to offer, right? But I don't talk in huge words like, you're incredible, you're amazing, because when we're not feeling like that, it's the last thing you want to hear. But actually understanding that you're worthy of respect. That's it. It's a non-negotiable. And actually, it's not negotiable. People do not have the right to treat you less than that. No, that's one of your non-negotiables.
But then, sorry to interrupt you already in this first point, but then I guess you have to respect yourself if you want to expect the others to respect you, I guess.
Yes. And the importance is, and I don't use this word lightly because I rarely use it, it is a lie to think that you're not as good as the next person. Whoever told you that, wherever you learnt it from, it's not true. That's the first thing. Number 2, treat yourself like you would treat your friend. If you're telling yourself at this moment in time, you're disgusting, not good enough, how dare you have this weight, why am I not successful like this person? I can never be like that. Would you treat your friend that you really value and probably love like that?
Well, we're usually better at treating our friends than treating ourselves, in fact.
We are, but you need to stop it. And
of course,
the question I always say is, would you have a coffee with you? Would you have a coffee with you? I have rarely heard somebody say, I would definitely not have a coffee with me. Even somebody who's in a really bad place and is really having a struggle, they usually go, what? Sorry, what did you ask me? I said, well, would you have a coffee with you? Well, yeah, maybe. Well, then tell me why. There's one reason why you would.
Yeah.
And somebody might say, well, actually, I'm kind. Or, I actually am quite interesting. Or, do you know what? Even though things are hard for me, I'm quite funny. And it's a starting point. It's actually starting to uncover who you really are deep down inside. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to practice gratitude. Stop worrying about what you want and what hasn't happened yet, and be really grateful for what's in your life. Even if you're in a really bad place right now, what is the one thing that you can be grateful for today that will give you a better smile?
So what are you grateful for today?
My health, my family, you, my dear friends. I'm so grateful, because if everything else fell down, and we live in a rocky old time at the moment, everything else fell down. If you've got your health, you are golden. If you have anything other than that, if you're lucky and fortunate enough to have a family, or to have an animal as your family, to have a dog, or to have one friend, or to have something, to have an allotment where you can go and dig, or I don't know, people that you meet up with once a week who you like, those are precious things. They're the things that matter most in life. And yet we take them almost like, oh, well, I've got all those. Yes, but what I really want is this. Do you really? If I gave it to you now, would you really want all those things? The things you've got are the golden things.
Funny that you say that. I gave a talk a few days ago for a charity who helps women who are survivors of abuse. Sorry, and before going there, I didn't even really know who I was going to meet, and I met. I don't know how many they were. I met these amazing women, and they were full of life. Of course, they've been through hell. They've been through terrible things for some of them. For most of them, in fact, but they were talking about their gratitude. They didn't. I'm not sure they mentioned the name, but they were talking about their gratitude. They were talking about how they enjoy speaking with their friends. So they enjoy. They do gardening sessions together as well, which I think is great. It was not like a sad audience, or no, they were not. They've been through a lot. And I think just the fact that they were all together in this room meant that they connected. They connected, and I think you mentioned that the connection we have with others makes a massive difference. All by ourselves in our bedroom or in the living room with Netflix and a bottle of wine, I don't think that's going to be, we know it's not going to be helpful. I think it's about connecting with others, and it makes a massive difference. So so I saw so much gratitude when I gave that talk. Not for me, I mean, gratitude that they were grateful for so many different things.
Yeah.
And I got out of there and I thought, wow, I mean, these women who've been through so much, they're amazing. I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't go through that much to become, more grateful, of course. But it really teach me something on that day.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you experienced. I think connectivity is everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think isolation it's not what we're meant for as humans. And, as the world seems to be changing in the most extraordinary ways right now, I think, gosh, I don't want to be Elon Musk. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Actually choose connectivity over everything. I think it enhances health. It creates a sense of belonging, friendship, understanding, care, fun. And actually, these are things we're talking about that are so important that cost very little. Walking to somebody's house and a group of people gathering, or if you don't have a house, to a central point where you can gather and actually meet and be accepted. And that in its most human form, to be accepted, to learn to accept self, I think is one of the finest acknowledgements that we can possibly have. I do. The power in that, and leading to the fact as well that I think this is important, the power of the mind. So often we think we are our minds. We are not our minds. We can challenge our minds. I could wake up this morning and my mind might say, oh, Wendy, today's going to be a really tricky day for you. It's raining outside, it's cold. And I could think, oh gosh, before I've even got out of bed, oh, today's going to be a tricky day. It's raining and it's cold. Or I can give my mind a name. Let's call it Dave. And I can say, do you know what, Dave? How do you know it's going to be a tricky day? It's raining outside. That's beautiful because it's a day for nature. Nature needs
exactly, yeah.
And I love the change of seasons. I'm going to pack up and go for a walk. The walk costs me nothing. It enables me to be with myself for a short time, and I think that that's an incredibly important element of growth as well, is learning to be with yourself.
So I like this idea that we are not our mind.
We're not.
That we're much more than that, and not just how we feel at a certain moment. But I guess somehow it gets back to being grateful for, you mentioned being outside, walking outside, and looking at what's around you. It's being part of this world and not being and not seeing everything as an adversity or something difficult. It's going to be a bad day, a hard day.
Absolutely. And as we start to question our minds, what happens is we start to rediscover and reconnect with who we truly are. And I mean, that's such a valuable part of my work, I feel, as a personal stylist, is enabling men and women to rediscover that lightness of spirit, even in tricky times. But, it's not all tricky. Let's please remember that lots of people come and, they're feeling good anyway, but some aren't. And actually, I like to feel that as a result of time spent with me, that people start to understand that actually, that very deep thing when people say, who are you? And we tend to shy away and think, what?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But there's a lighter approach, and actually using clothes and color as a tool to, I've always felt that I could feel who people are and being able to bring them presently into their most potential. It gives them a lightness of energy. We become childlike as well. We go on a bit of an adventure. It becomes joyful. It's fun. All those things that sometimes, we can be terribly serious as adults because often we have a lot on our shoulders. But actually to discover that, that feeling, that's, I think, the beginning of rediscovery of self-esteem before confidence. The bedrock, and confidence beginning to exude out of you. Yeah, for sure.
And being childlike means also in my mind, it means me being more playful.
Yeah.
I think the other day, I was having a conversation with someone that I really like, and a very interesting conversation. And then I said something a bit silly, but I mean, most people were laughing anyway. It was a bit silly, and they say, "Oh, you're just a kid." And I say, it was a compliment. I took it as a compliment. Yeah, I'm just a kid, because and I think I can be serious. I can be in my adult mode, and of course, and we should sometimes, of course, be in that mode. But I think we kind of, many of us have put the child within us, our inner child, as we say, on the side for too long. And I think it's a shame. By the way, that's just an anecdote. I think that games really help being people more playful. Any kind of game. I know that with some friends we play games or online or stuff like that. Not for money, not for, not to win, and we like kids when we do that. But that's, I like games.
Me too. I like dancing as well.
Dancing is, I'm
disco. Do you remember during the pandemic, the kitchen disco was a really big thing?
Yeah, I know. It was great. Yeah.
I get my dog, my son involved. I mean, goodness me, honestly, if I was to video it, and I wouldn't mind. I think maybe that's the beauty of living on this earth a bit longer, and the wisdom and acceptance of yourself. That's not necessarily always there in younger years. Sometimes it is. But actually, that kind of learning to be at ease with yourself. Does it matter if you make a mistake? No, it's how to learn. I always say we only become good through our mistakes, because that's when we can see the contrast. And actually, being in a game. I remember when I first met my husband-to-be at the time, Steve, who you know really well.
Mm-hmm.
In a few months of meeting, he took me to the south of France, not the south of France, sorry, mid-France, to meet some friends of his, and they loved games. Now, this shows the shy girl in me. I sat there frozen in fear as this game called Who's in the Bag went round this semicircle of people, heading when it was coming to my turn, thinking my lack of general knowledge is going to show here. I won't be able to perhaps recognize who the person is that I've got to describe. And I look at it now and I think that's case in point. That's the Wendy who I was then, but I was yet to become the Wendy I am now. Is that me? No, it's not a new me. I'm more Wendy than I've ever been. But I cringed. I thought, how can I get out of it being my time? I watched the egg timer tip over and thought, oh, it's my turn next. Oh my goodness me. And what I have learned is that worry gets us nowhere. And actually that easiness of thinking, if I'm making a mistake or I don't know, I don't really mind. So it starts with us, doesn't it? I don't mind. It doesn't matter if other people think I'm not intelligent enough, or, and I think I think that is a really lovely learning curve for all of us when we can say, I like me and I'm fine with all the bits.
Mm-hmm.
Imperfectly perfect. There is no perfect. Let's be happy with our imperfections.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean there is always room for learning new things, for improving certain things, and I think it's better if we do it from a point where we are okay with who we are.
We're okay with who we are, and we also, but I think this. You often talk to me about times where perhaps people hide. We feel I've had that time in my life where we hide and why we hide, and coming through the other side and understanding that and being really proud of ourselves for it, and I've been in that place and I understand how it feels. And I think having empathy in the role that I have is authentic empathy, where you can say, actually, I really do understand. Is such an important thing, isn't it? Actually, where you feel, am I ever going to come out of this? Actually, am I? Will I be all right? And yet somehow, you piece your way through. And I mean, I've said to you, during the pandemic, I lost both my dad and my mum in a very short time.
Wow.
My dog, and then my son became extremely unwell. And to be honest with you, I questioned whether I would ever recover from that. I wanted to hide so much because I never wanted to explain. I didn't want to bump into anybody I knew. I didn't want to be around anybody because I did not want to have to explain how sad I felt. And so I do understand that feeling.
Yeah.
I really, and I've, it's that awareness thing. I've thought about it. I thought, why did I feel like that? And I thought, if I'm being really honest, because I felt at the time, why haven't I done more to save these people who I love with my entire heart? I'm now able to look at it and think I did everything I could, and some in my heart and my head. But at the time, I felt like really disappointed in myself that all these things happened, and so I do understand, with regards to weight, when people feel disappointed or upset with themselves, or in the many adjectives, that we've shared together. I truly understand how that feels.
Yeah. So we were in the 5 steps to being more you, and I really like that.
Yes.
The fourth one was you're not your mind. What's the 5th and last one then?
So the 5th and final step is being open to spend more time with you. My goodness me, we are the most terrific caregivers as humans, invariably. We are so good at looking after our families, at aiming to be good at the jobs that we have, at reaching out to friends who are perhaps not having a good time, at taking care of our friends, at investing time in our friends, at looking after our animals beautifully, whatever is important to us in our lives, tending to our plants amazingly. What I'd like to say is, imagine if you suddenly didn't water your plants anymore, or you neglected your dog, or your son, or your partner, whoever it may be. What would happen? You would feel them shrivel. And that's exactly the same thing that happens to us when
You're so right. Yeah.
Time or attention to ourselves. And yet we're giving out in utter authenticity, and then beating ourselves up that we're not good enough. Of course we're not, because we're falling apart, because we're giving absolutely nothing, no life force to ourselves. So I say my 5th and most important step to being more you is to be open to spend time with you, is to actually be in the energy of you, not anybody else, in you. Probably feel really uncomfortable to begin with. It doesn't have to cost any money. So all of these steps are not about, nothing to do with finance or having to put yourself under more pressure. These are very achievable things day to day, but it's about learning to be with you, whatever that is. Join a local club. We've talked about connectivity, haven't we?
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah.
Beautiful, inspiring women you're with. And actually spend time perhaps doing something new and learning about the facets of you that you had forgotten even existed. And you might surprise yourself at how much you begin to like who you are.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Wendy, that was so interesting and so uplifting. Would you say that in English? Uplifting, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I have just so enjoyed spending time with you. I always do. I think, the importance of all of this is within the pockets of the busyness of this crazy world, but this beautiful planet, is to remember ourselves in the way that we can, and to actually understand that this life that we've been given is very, very precious, and we do deserve to feel good.
Yeah.
We can have the opportunity to go within and to find happiness within us, because that's the only place that exists. And surely.
And if we're in a better place, we're also in a better place to eventually help others when they need it. Otherwise, we just it's just at the cost of our own well-being, our own mental health, and So it's not selfish, because for some people would see that as being selfish. I tell them, no, it's not being selfish, but you cannot be there for others in the same way if you're not in a good place. So there's nothing selfish about it. It starts with you. And then eventually, if others, if you want to help some other people, if you want to be there for others, you'll be in a better place if you started with yourself.
You will. And if we can just redefine that word as well, just to finish off, would be amazing. I did a bit of self-development work a while ago, and I suddenly thought, let's look at this word up in the dictionary. Like this word that we're taught that selfish means, how dare you put yourself first? You're always thinking of you. Oh, it's always about you. The actual definition in the dictionary means of the self. Self means just giving to you. So surely we all want to be a little bit more selfish of ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Wendy, for this. This is really, I love that. And maybe we'll talk more another day.
That'd be lovely. Thanks, Philippe.
With pleasure. Thank you.